We'll start by the collectively saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please. One, two, three.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone for being here this evening. First item on the agenda is I would now like to entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion was made by Board Member Gray. Seconded by Board Member Dr. Chavis for the record. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 4 on the agenda, excuse me. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to review the minutes from the last board meeting in June. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes. So moved. Motion made by Dr. Chavis, seconded by Board Member Thomas Bullock. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Recognitions, Dr. Ellis. Okay.
Oh, shoot.
All right, so today we have a couple of recognitions. Please come forward when I call your name. First, we have Angie Miller. Angie Miller is the NCPS Executive Director of Athletics, School Nutrition and Wellness. Ms. Miller received the distinguished 2023 Dave Harris Athletic Director of the Year Award. The award is given to the athletic director who contributes the most to high school athletics. Congratulations, Ms. Miller. I got it. Got some family members back there, but I won't call them out. Now we have the NCPS Finance Department. The NCPS Finance Department was recently recognized by the Association of School Business Officials, ASBO, with an award for excellence in financial reporting for its fiscal year 2022 annual comprehensive financial report. Congratulations to our finance department.
Thank you very much. Good enough.
Public input each month as part of at least one regularly scheduled board meeting will be set aside for citizens to address the board through public comment. A sign-up sheet will be available in the communications office for any individual or group to indicate their desire to address the board. Disruptions by any person or persons of a public meeting will be subject to action in accordance with General Statute 143-318.17. If anyone has further questions, please refer to Nash County Public Schools Policy number 2310. And we do not have anyone signed up for our public input session tonight. So we will proceed to item number 7, the business items, donations, Dr. Ellis.
Dear board members, please accept this request for the following donations. Rocky Mount High School received the following donation. Carolina Forward Foundation donated $5,067 to be used for outstanding student cafeteria debt. City High School received the following donation. Carolina Ford Foundation donated $340.23 to be used for outstanding student cafeteria debt. Winston Avenue Elementary School received the following donations. Southern Bank donated $250 to be used for outstanding student cafeteria debt. Sandy Fork Baptist donated $1,000 to be used for student cafeteria debt. 3C Store Fixtures donated $400 for outstanding student cafeteria debt. Sam's Club donated $250 for cafeteria debt, and Inglewood Baptist Church donated $400 to be used for outstanding student cafeteria debt. That was all Winston Avenue. Nash County Public Schools received the following donation. National Christian Foundation Carolinas donated $2,140 to be used for mental health services for the insured. Present to the board.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we send great appreciation and accept these donations.
All right, motion has been made by Dr. Chavis, seconded by Board Member Thomas Bullock. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is personnel recommendations. Ms. Wallace.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Dr. Washington, Vice Chair Mr. Dutton, and attending board members. The personnel reports have been shared and reviewed. At this time, on behalf of Superintendent Ellis, your approval of the report is requested.
Thank you very much. Motion has been made by Board Member Sharp. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Gray. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Ms. Wallace. Policy Committee, Mr. Dutton.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. We'll step in real quick from Mrs. Bullock. We've got about 4 or 5 items here that we are bringing as recommendations from the Policy Committee. The first is for final approval on a few items that have substantive changes. Policy 1610, 7800, policy 3101, policy 4023, policy 4310, policy 7503, 7010, and 7815. All these were presented at a prior board meeting and have sat for 30 days. We recommend approval to. I'm making that motion for approval.
Second.
All right. Motion's been made by Vice Chair Dutton, seconded by Dr. Chavis. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Next slate is, again, the final approval, these are set for 30 days, these are minor changes. 4130, 4155, 4334, 5035, 7345, policy 7340, and policy 7650 are being. I make a motion to present to the board for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Vice Chair Dutton, seconded by Board Member Thomas Bullock. Is there any discussion on those policies? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposition, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next are first reads. These have significant changes, and there's a little bit of the change in this slate. We have 2 policy 5008 and policy 6402 that we are going to table for further review by committee. So I'm making a motion for approval for policy 5040, 6315, 6330, and 6430 to the board of this. Second.
All right. Motion made by Vice Chair Dutton, seconded by Board Member Gray. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Almost there.
Uh-huh.
We got 2 that have just minor changes for first read. That is 28, 61, 30, 72, 67, and then policy 6410. We, committee recommends, I make a motion to recommend approval to.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Dutton, seconded by Dr. Chavis. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Motion carried.
And then before we turn it back over, we have one other item on here that I did not look ahead to see. It does not appear to be on the board agenda. Do I need that? Or,
Child abuse.
yes.
I think that's gonna be for information that we were sharing.
Are there any actual changes?
I think we were going to accept it as, or without change, yeah.
But was that version different from a previous version? There would be no action.
So in that case, that is it for the policy committee.
Thank you. Administrative Services and Operations Committee Chair, Mr. Sharp.
We have seven items that we need action on, and one item information only. We'll vote them all at once. RTI internal provider contract, number one, Solution Tree external provider contract, number two, community and schools, number three, Kelly Services contract, number four, the budget amendment, well, that's information only. Facility maintenance bid, that's number five, and the North Advantage Field House contract, that's number six. We make a recommendation for all of these items.
All right, is there a motion?
That's my motion.
You make them,
That's me.
Is there a second? Motion made by, Board Member Sharp, seconded by Board Member Jenkins. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Motion carried. I'm sorry, one opposition for the record. All right, and then number 8. You can do that with this.
Okay, the last one about the deal is playground equipment. The board is making, or committee is making a recommendation that we approve the playground equipment plans submitted by Ms. Miller. It's our motion.
I'm gonna vote. Which option?
Plan C, sorry, option C. Yes, like, plan C.
So, Board Member Sharp has made the motion to adopt playground equipment plan C from the, committee. It has been seconded by Vice Chair Dutton. Is there any discussion on that one? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. All right, next up is Student Support Services and Operations Committee, Mr. Edwards.
So we met and we went over several contracts. The first two contracts, one is the vaccine contract and the nurses. Both of them are, recommended that there be some changes to the contracts to the attorney, but. Looks like the attorney called. Great.
Only if there are questions. You're doing a great job.
And then, so with that being said, we can still vote on those tonight, knowing that the amended changes will happen. Correct.
That's correct. The board could vote to approve both of the maximum contracts. There are two maximum contract one-to-one nurse and maximum contract school nurses. Both of those contracts include payment provisions that reference the hourly rates that the nurses and the staff will be paid. And during the committee discussion, the board wanted a not to exceed amount. And instead of waiting for that to come back to you, the board could approve it subject to further attorney review and the inclusion of a not to exceed cap at the dollar amounts proposed by staff. Yes, sir.
Very good.
Number 3 is your tower contract, triple tech contract from 4, and then we had a transportation update and accidental warranty purchase update and from information on. So with that being said, I would like to start and make the motion that these are accepted.
All right, the approval item for the Student Support Services and Operations Committee A motion has been made for approval of the 4 items and seconded by Dr. Taylor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Academic Services and Accountability Committee, Board Member Thomas Fuller. Second by Board Member Gray, is that correct? All right, is there any discussion on those 2 items? Hearing none, all in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Same sign, motion carries. Hearing none, and item number 12 on our agenda is
So at this time, we're gonna have a brief, demerger presentation. In your packets, you're gonna see that there's a timeline. PowerPoint is already up here. You're also gonna get a academics, so you're gonna get a timeline for each department, like a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And Mr. Ward and Ms. Finch will come up here and do a quick presentation on those.
Good evening, everyone. So, we're gonna get started. So we're gonna go through who we are, Growing Forward Together campaign. Mr. Ward's gonna brief on the joint meeting notes and timeline, as well as a brief on the impact report. And you all have access to our 120-day timeline overview, as well as an extension of that in this document that you can look at later, and the respect for time we have, and a brief on the communication plan and outline and next steps. So who we are, beginning in 1991, as you all know, the General Assembly passed for the school system to become Nash Rocky Mount Public Schools. About 30 years later, for this school year to be exact, we are now Nash County Public Schools. And so we decided that we built a campaign called Growing Forward Together for the demerger, so the next 30 years and beyond. And we have created a landing page on our website, and I'm going to give you a brief update on that. It's not live yet. Yep. So on this landing page, if you actually could stay there in the logo, this we believe is what represents unity and connection and transparency and a united front, and that's what we are at Nash County. And the pine tree represents the state of North Carolina and how we continue to evolve and grow and nurture our community and environment. And that's what we want to do throughout this process. Can you scroll down? So we've put a brief definition of what a demerger is in regards to an educational entity, and have a description of what the Growing Forward Together campaign means. And we are dedicated to establishing a collaborative and inclusive learning community that empowers our whole community as we continue to grow for this ever-changing world. And if you keep scrolling down, we have a timeline that touches from 1777 up until next year. It gives a brief overview of all the events that have taken place, because most people don't know the history of that, and that's great for people to know and be educated on that. And you can continue to scroll. We have a vision and mission, excuse me, of what the campaign will be. And if you keep going down, we provided information a little bit more regarding the background of Nash County Public Schools. And on the right-hand side, people will have access to the Senate bills that are available, as well as the Board of Education and the joint county public meetings made available that will directly link them back to that information. And if you keep scrolling down, what we have here are different vocabulary words that people might not know, like what a feeder school is, reassignment, if that comes up. what is the Board of Education, the boundary, et cetera, explaining what this terminology is, which will be helpful for transparency to the community. Keep scrolling. And this is a feeder school, what it is now, what it could look like in the future, from our elementary through high school. If you keep scrolling, that is a current boundary, and a boundary, as you know, would be, for example, like District 2, Bailey Cooper, Southern National High School, how they go in together, which represents also y'all's districts. And then we're not gonna spend too much on this right now, but that's also for the public to understand what it's gonna look like changing from the Board of Election map to the future district, and that is the county commissioner's map. So we'll go back to the presentation.
That'll be a page that parents can go to find all their answers about. Like that.
Yes.
We wanted you to see the report that's live. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put it tomorrow, put it out there, and start adding all the questions, everything else.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, member of the board. To ensure, thank you, Heather, by the way, to ensure that we're in compliance with Senate Bill 248, we put together a timeline for you, a very generic timeline or a broad timeline, and then there's more specific timelines that will be shared later. But for tonight's purposes, we just wanted to bring you up to speed in terms of where we are and where we're headed moving forward with the demerger process. So thus far, we've had joint meetings and decision points of interest with both boards and also with the superintendents. In regard to the student transfers, it was agreed upon that K-9 students will transfer to Edgecombe County Schools between the two districts. 10th and 11th grade students will be grandfathered into Nash County Schools. Transportation and tuition, the transportation will be provided for those students that will be grandfathered in, and no tuition will be required for those students that will remain. County commissioners did decide that the funding source will come from somewhere, haven't decided on that yet, but those students will be funded by Nash County. Placement will be based on vacancies in the current 12 for the 24-25 school year. As far as facilities and assets, right now there are still unanswered questions about this, about federally funded items that would need to be purchased and valued for an value rate. Those questions are being looked into by one of the attorneys and still needs to be fleshed out at this time. There will be a job fair that will be held. Edgecombe County will provide staff members with an interest survey to see where their interest may lie, whether or not they would like to join the Nash Edgecombe County team or remain or go somewhere else. The board retreat, which was today, we held today to provide you with this information. Also tomorrow, there will be a demerger planning meeting between the joint commissioners, held at Debbie Elementary. Also, in the spirit of transparency and continued communication, we will continue to communicate our plan moving forward on August 14th. Both counties agreed to meet once again for the demerger process. That meeting will include Mr. Sharp. Mr. Sharp is the point of contact for Edgecombe County, and I am the point of contact for us. Thank you, Dr. Ellis. So there will be Ronnie, Rico, Ronnie Sharp. Mr. Ronnie Sharp. In relation. Okay. So yes, both teams are dedicated to this process in the spirit of transparency for all. This is more of a broad timeline for the next 5 months moving forward. Of course, this past July, central office staff and legal team met to draft a demerger plan. On the 25th, Nash County and Edgecombe County cabinets met to discuss some student decisions, which I've already discussed in terms of transportation and students being grandfathered in as well. A1, this is a 30-day timeline in terms of assessing assets to be transferred to Edgecombe County. Again, that information is still being gathered by various departments. On 8/7, of course, today we have our board retreat to provide you with additional information. Tomorrow, again, is that meeting between the county commissioners for the boards. 9/1, we will draft a plan. That plan will consist of the assets, assignments, facilities, and transfers and conversations with DPI about federally funded assets and child nutrition as well. October, the plan is to have a plan together to present to Nash County Board of Education and also to our Nash County commissioners at that time to meet the 11/15 deadline to the State Board of Education. The impact, of course, the greatest impact board members will be on those faces that you see in the slides. But if you click on impact, there's a link there that will take you to some more very specific information regarding funding, personnel, and some other aspects that will impact this demerger process. And of course, more information will be provided. This is subject to change. I just want to scroll through that, Mr. What do I have? Well, just so you can see that you have access to that information. And this is regarding relinquishment of assets as well, in addition to funding for the school system and personnel. Okay, you can come back out of that. And this is where each individual department or division will provide their own very specific timeline, but due to time constraints today, we understand that we don't have time to go through that, but you do have this for you to look over at your leisure. And this is for information on.
And what I want to stress is, so each department has a 30, 60, 90-day plan. The big date that we need to think about is going to be around September and October, when we have to submit a plan for the board to review. So I think our cabinet is trying to figure out possibly September policy, September committee meeting, we would come up with a plan. And I think Mr. Ward, when we figure out the federal piece, that will really start moving this plan. That's talk about the assets and money. But just be ready in September. We're going to have kind of like a draft that you'll get to see. We have to have some conversation about what these states are doing right now and what's good. But like I said, we still have about 400 some kids that won't have a home. We want to start bringing you this information. This is really the draft. And I wanted to make sure you saw it tonight, because tomorrow when we go to this meeting, I want to kind of give them this power. But I wanted you all to see it first. You're going to get more in depth because you got some of this information. I will be having that out, but you'll be getting weekly updates from our committee, Mr. Ward, about what that real time plan is. Okay, but that's why I want to make sure you see it. So you're gonna say up here just next steps.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just for each department who we're working with, Dr. Farrow as well as Ms. Wallace, because there's gonna be a career fair coming up. And so just from a transparency standpoint, you'll see that we're all working on the different communication plans and how that's gonna be disseminated out to the public. And then the next step, which Ms. Dr. Ellis just did. Any questions? You're welcome.
Yes.
That concludes the superintendent's report. Thank you. Now for my report, rather quickly here. The board expresses sincere condolences to the families of employees that we have lost since our last meeting. I hope that everyone has made some time to rest and enjoy the sunny weather over the past couple of months. I would like to thank everyone who worked throughout the summer months to plan and prepare for the upcoming school year. As we approach the start of the 2023-2024 school year, I would like to challenge everyone to program their response, all is well, both in your mind and in your heart. As always, on behalf of my fellow board members, we say to each and every employee, thank you for all of your hard work and dedication. Some upcoming dates. Committee meetings on Thursday, August 31st at 5 p.m. September work session, Thursday, September 7th at 5 p.m. That's all we have. If there's no further business to come before the board, yes.
I have one more further business.
Okay.
All right. Bear with me as I read. We'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that the superintendent schedule at least 3 law practices that represent us as a school board to come in and provide us information on how they could represent us, our board, under contract. I think it's about time that we listen to some outsiders to come in and give us at least a presentation at the vendor role to represent us.
Repeat it one more time.
All right, I make a motion
that the superintendent schedule at least 3 law practices that are for law firms, yes, law firms practices, however you want to name it, that can come in and represent us, or that can give us their spill, if you will, and be able to represent us as a school board. And so we can listen to them and see if there's need to change or
So basically, they would present a presentation to the board while they authorize it. You want that in a 30-day, a 60-day window, 90? What do you think?
probably not, it probably would be ready by next. It looks like our next date is what, the end of the month? Or, I'm gonna September 7th, you'd have a month.
You need to amend the
Today.
agenda to
to
consider
get
this.
3 different practices. I can get that.
Because it's not an agenda item.
Right.
However, if you like to bring that back before the board, you have to do so. But I do know in the past, there's been considered as like a bidding process, somewhat similar to. Yeah, I hear you, but at this meeting, I can't entertain it because it's not an agenda item that has to cover it on. Okay.
So-
All right, is there any other,
We can add it to the agenda for September 7th.
so you can make any recommendation you like in there, that's to be on the next one. Are you there?
Think so? So we
So
can,
you-
add- so we can make a motion. It can be on the agenda to make a motion on the next.
So that's what your issue is, you can certainly make that recommendation, and when the 3 of us get together to make an agenda for September, that would be considered.
But then I'm doing that in open session.
Now, Mr. Sharp? Okay, is there any other, business to come before this board this evening? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion made by Dr. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Thomas Fuller. Any discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carried. It's been a long day. Thank you, everyone.